Hello everybody, I'm Sharon from Sharon's Crochet Design, and today we are going to do a tutorial for a walker tote. I got this idea from a friend of mine that was in rehab for a few weeks, and they gave her one that somebody had made, and I said, oh, what a great idea. I use a walker myself and quite a few of my neighbors here at the apartment use walkers. So I said, what a great idea. So I wrote a pattern and I think it turned out kind of cool. I made it in 2 colors. I did this special stitch for the border across the top and on the handles just to bring out the color of the secondary color for this. So, I didn't take the measurements, but let's get the measurements of this. This is about 10.5 inches wide. And then from the top to the bottom, it's about almost 11 inches to about 10.5. I didn't know it was square. That's awesome. So, 10, well, it depends. About 10 by 10.5. So it's a little bit wider at the bottom because it's got like a little bottom to it. I'll show you that when we get started on the pattern. But like I said, I did this in 2 colors. You can do it in 1 color if you want, just when you get up to where you're gonna stop to change colors, just put that many stitches in the color that you're gonna use. But I decided to use 2 colors, and I think it turned out really, really good. You can use any colors you want. So, and then of course the handles fit right over the front of the walker. So it's great to put in, you know, your phone when you're going somewhere and you need your walker. It'll fit a magazine, anything you want to put in there to carry with you when you're going somewhere. So there is the picture of it, and let's get started with our supplies. So for this, like I said, I used 2 different colors. For the one I'm going to do the tutorial in, I'm going to use pink and white. The other one kind of looks like one for a gentleman. So I figured I would do one in a couple of colors that maybe a lady would like. So I'm going to do pink for the primary color and white for the secondary color. This is just a Super Saver yarn. It's a 4-weight acrylic yarn. So any 4-weight yarn will work for this in any 2 color combinations that you want. So that is the yarn. You're actually going to need 2 crochet hooks for this. For the main tote itself, you're going to need a 6mm. And then for the handle, you're going to need a 4mm. So there are the 2 hooks you're going to need. Of course, you're going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need your embroidery needle. You're going to need a stitch marker, because it is the bottom of it. The main part of it is done in continuous rounds. So you need a stitch marker. You're going to need 2 buttons. And I chose to use pretty good size buttons for this. Since the main part is going to be pink and the secondary white, I chose to use white buttons. So you can do it any way you want. You know, my rule with crochet is your project, you do it the way you want to do it. You're going to need a regular needle, sewing needle, to sew the button on, and you're going to need thread to sew the button on. So pause here and get all of your supplies together and come back, and we will get started on this tutorial. All right, let's get started with the tote. For this, the main body of the tote, you're going to be using your 6mm hook. So grab that one and the color for your the main body, and it's going to start with a chain of 33. And to do that, we'll start, of course, with a slip knot. And then we're going to chain 33. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can do this larger if you want. There's no stitch count. You don't have to do an odd or even number. Just add more chains. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. So you have your 33 chains. Now you are going to do 2 rows of single crochet. The first one you're going to start with doing a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. This first chain does not count as any, this loop, it's not a chain, sorry. This loop on your hook does not count as anything, so just ignore it. You're going to count 1, 2. Second chain from the hook, you're going to do a single crochet, and you're going to single crochet all the way across. This is a beginner friendly pattern. Uses very simple stitches. Nothing complicated about it. And like I said, you can make it larger if you want. Just when you make your, or smaller actually. Just when you make your initial chain, add some or take away some. This will come in really, really handy. My friend that it was given to, she broke her pelvis, unfortunately, and she cannot let go of her walker to go anywhere. So her little tote has come in very handy for her, just putting her phone, dropping her phone down in there to do whatever she needs to do in the kitchen or go to the bathroom. She knows she's got her phone with her and she can, put different things in there. If she needs to carry something from A to B, one spot to another, she can do that. So you're doing, and you don't need to keep count of this, but of course when you finish this row, you should have a row of 32 single crochets, but you don't need to keep count in this project. Just a real simple, easy project. Does not take long to do. Nothing hard about it. And I'm going the 2 rows of the single crochet for a reason. It gives it kind of a little bottom to it. So it, make it a little bit wider, I guess. You don't need a bottom for, of course, for it to stand or anything. It just gives it a little bit of a bottom to it, so it's a little bit thicker across. My yarn's trying to get tangled. We don't want that. Now your tail, don't worry about your tail. When you start to do your single crochet around your rounds of single crochet, that tail will get worked in. So don't worry about having to finish it off or anything. It's going to get worked in. Okay, so you're coming up to your last single crochet. And we're going to do 1 more row. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to single crochet back across the bottom. Thank y'all for choosing to follow along with this pattern with me. If you haven't yet, I hope you will subscribe to my channel. Leave me some comments, give me some love, hit that notification button so you can see my new tutorials when they come out. But thank you so much for following along. So far, all of my patterns are beginner friendly. And I have some ideas for some more tutorials coming down the road. If you have anything you would like to see, follow along with in a tutorial with me, please leave me a message in the comments and I will see what I can do. I have a textured cup holder, water bottle or can cozy that I'm gonna do. I'm getting together all the stuff for it. That's gonna be a real simple. It's a real simple, but it's cute project to do. It'll make good for your stash of finished projects, you know, for birthdays or whatever. We are coming up to the end of this second round, or row, sorry. We're going to get ready to start the rounds. Second row of single crochets. Do one more. Now this is where you're going to start using your stitch marker. This is going to be the end of your rows. Now we're going to start working in the round. So to do that, we're not going to chain one because we're not turning our work. We've done a single crochet in this last single crochet. We're going to add 2 to that. So 1, 2, 2 more single crochets. Then we're going to come to what was our chain stitch, and we're actually going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do a single crochet in each stitch. This was your beginning chain stitch. So you're going to be doing a single crochet in the back side of that chain stitch that you did all the way across. Easy peasy pattern, guys. Just an easy peasy pattern. You know, this would be good if the handles would work with it, depending on what your stroller is like, but this would be good for maybe for the handle of a stroller, to put some of your stuff in. You know, you've got all these pockets and stuff for the baby stuff, but maybe you could make one to put on your stroller for you to put your stuff in. Just a thought. So we're coming all the way down. The side here where we did our chain. Pretty in pink. This is going to be pretty in pink. Let me get me some more yarn. Remember that movie? It's a blast from the past, isn't it? So come all the way down. Okay, we're coming up to our last chain here, which was the first chain that we did. And we're going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now this is where we're going to be chaining over top of this tail here. So we're going to go in this one and do 1 single crochet, and then in this other side you're going to come up to that first single crochet in that round on that side, and you are going to do a 3, 1, 2, and 3 single crochets, and then you got it. I know you're thinking ahead of me. You're going to do 1 single crochet all the way down the side, going over the tail, so you don't have to weave it in. It already started with the slip knot, so it's secure. You're just weaving over, crocheting over this tail. Now let's stop here a minute. Give the tail a little tug. And then grab your scissors, snip that off. Okay, it takes care of your tail. See, it's going to give it a little bit of a bottom here. So continue to single crochet up this side. You know, I said you can make it wider if you want. You can make it longer. I'm going to tell you in a minute how many rows we're going to do, or rounds, sorry. Rounds we're going to do. This is going to be a continuous round project. I prefer doing continuous rounds. I just think it gives it a neater look at the end of the day. So we're doing our single crochet up this side. Now, with the next round, you are not gonna do anything in the corners. You're just gonna do 1 single crochet all the way around. That is what's gonna start pulling up the sides. That's what's going to start making the sides. Doing 3 single crochets in each corner keeps it flat. But when you're doing 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, it's going to start pulling up the sides. So we're coming up to this last stitch here. You're going to put a single crochet in that last stitch. Put in your stitch marker. Now you are going to continue this for another 22 rows. So continue to single crochet. See, you just go from this last right to that first stitch. It's a continuous round. You're going to do a single crochet in each and every stitch all the way around. You're not doing anything special in these corners. You're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. And this is going to be round 1 of 22. So do 22 of these rows in this one color. Come back at the end of that 22nd round. I keep saying rows. I could always get that confused. So you know what I mean. These are rounds because you're going round and round and around. You're not turning your work. So continue this all the way around your project. 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. This will be round 1 of 22. So continue this until you get to the end of round 22, and we will come back together and I'll show you the next step. Okay guys, we have finished round 22 of our primary color. Now let's do a single crochet in this last stitch. But when you do that, only yarn over and only pull it halfway through. This is where we're going to change colors. If you're doing 2 colors like I am, I'm going to change to a white, which is my secondary color. And to do that, I'm just going to, hold it over like you're doing a slip knot, but don't do a slip knot. You're going to pull through that loop. And then I turn it over. Now this is how I do it, guys. You're going to have your own way of doing it. This is just what has worked easier for me over the years. I tie a knot, 2 knots. Then make sure you're working with your working yarn of the new color. And then the tails for what was the working yarn of your primary and the tail of this new color yarn, you're gonna crochet right over it. So you're gonna continue to do, I forgot to put in my stitch marker. Let's do that. Stitch marker goes in that last stitch there. So you are gonna single crochet right over the 2 tails. You can have a knot in it so it's secure. This just keeps you from having to weave in the ends at the end of your project. I yarn over a pretty good ways just to make sure they stay good and tucked in there when it's washed or whatever. Let's do one more. And I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna grab my scissors. And make sure you don't get this working yarn. Make sure you're getting the tail of the working yarn, the white yarn you just started or whatever secondary color you're using, and the tail of the primary color you were using. Give them both a good little tug, not too much. You don't want to pull it up too much. And then snip those tails. And that takes care of that. Your primary color you're just going to put to the side because you are going to get back to that in a minute. Now you're going to continue to single crochet around and around and around in continuous rounds, just like you did for the 22 rounds. You're going to continue in the secondary color for 10 rounds. So go ahead and continue this for 10 rounds. This is, of course, your round 1 of your secondary color. You're going to do a total of 10 rounds all the way around. And when you get to the end of the 10 rounds, we will come back and go to the next step. Here we come up to the end of row 10 of our secondary color. Let's do the last few single crochets. And we're going to do the same thing we did, change colors. Take that stitch marker out. Pull up your yarn. Don't do anything else with it for a minute. Then we're going to add back in our primary color, which in my case is the pink. Turn it over. Guys, this is how I do it. I'm not telling you this is how you have to do it. This is just how I change colors. I like, if you've watched my videos, I like my stuff really secure, so I like to tie a knot. Excuse me. Put your stitch marker back in. If I can get it to connect. Goodness gracious. Okay, get the hook out of the way. Maybe that will help. Okay, there we go. Now, we are going to do just like we did before. And we are going to single crochet over top of these 2 tails. Continue to single crochet. As you can see, when you do continuous rounds, you can see, especially when you've got to change the change of colors here, you can see where it up here, it meets this point, and then it was down here because it just goes backwards a little bit. I like to do continuous rounds because if you were joining as you go in each round, it would be a definite line there. And I just don't like the look of that. So I do continuous rounds around. So continue to single crochet over top of these tails. This keeps you from having to weave in these ends. Let's go ahead and stop there. Give these tails a little bit of a tug. give them a snip. Now you have finished with your secondary color for the main part of this project. You are going to come back to using it as an accent trim, but from here on out, you'll be using the primary color for your tote. So what you want to do is continue this single crochet around. Looks like I need to clip this one a little bit tighter, closer. Kind of sticking out a little bit. There we go. There we go. So go ahead and continue around in continuous rounds. This will be what is round 1, and you're going to again do 10 rounds. So do 10 rounds of your primary color and come back and I'll show you how to put the border, and we are then going to make the handles. So go ahead and finish 10 rounds of this primary color. Okay guys, we have come to the end of your round 10 in this last part of your tote, and we're going to go in this last stitch here, do a single crochet and fasten it off. Take out your stitch marker. We're just going to let that tail drop because we're going to be crocheting over that. Now we're going to do the border across the top. And to do this, we're going to start with a slip knot. I'm going to come back a couple here, go in to the top of the single crochet toward the end of that row. I just don't want to join two knots at the same place. That's why I come back a little bit. We're going to pull it through and chain 1, then we're going to go ahead and do a single crochet in that same stitch. Now this is where it gets interesting. And also let the tail from your white yarn or your secondary color yarn drop. You're going to be single crocheting over it. You're also going to be single crocheting the tail of your primary color. So you've done a single crochet here in the top of this first single crochet. You're gonna not do a single crochet in this next one at the top. You're gonna come down below and do a single crochet down below that stitch. Then we're gonna come to the next stitch, and this one can be a little bit fidgety because this is where I just fashioned it off, but that's fine. Just do a single crochet in the top. Now, instead of coming to this next one and single crocheting in the top of the stitch, you're going to come down to the bottom. And you're going to do a single crochet. And when you do this, pull your yarn up a little bit so that it's, you don't want to keep it tight. You want it to have a little bit of some flex there. So in the next stitch, you are going to do a single crochet in the top. Like I said, don't forget to single crochet over top of your tails so that you don't have to weave in these ends. We're not going to single crochet in the top of this stitch. We're going to come below and do a single crochet in the bottom of it. The next stitch, go to the top. The next stitch, see, you've got your stitch here. You're not going to do it in the top. You're going to come down to the bottom. The next stitch, you're going to go right in the top. The next stitch, you're going to come down to the bottom. The next stitch, you're going to come into the top. The next stitch, you're going to come down to the bottom. Now we can stop here and give these tails a little bit of a tug and go ahead and snip off these tails. If you prefer to weave it in, by all means, weave it in. Every chance I get, and when I'm doing a tight stitch like a single crochet, I just like to crochet right over top of those tails. You've already done your knot down there where you fastened it off and when you started the new one. So it's secure. You're just weaving it in by by means of crocheting over top. So this you did at the bottom. The next one you're going to come to the top, and then you're going to do bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. We're going to come here. We did this one at the bottom, so we're not going to do this one because we did the top. We're going to come to the next one and do the bottom. See, so really what you're doing is you skipped the single crochet at the top. You're going to do a single crochet in the top of the next. You did a single crochet in the bottom, so you're going to skip this one and do a single crochet in the bottom of this one, which is going to cover the top. Am I making sense? I'm just trying to, for new crocheters, trying to keep it as simple as I can to kind of make sense. So you're going to do the top, and then you're going to do the bottom. And guys, you're going to do this all the way around the top of this tote. And once you come back to the end, we will join up again, and I'll show you how to fasten it off, and then we're going to make our handles. So go ahead and pause the video here, and we'll meet up at the end of this border. All right, we're coming up to the end of our border. I just did a single crochet into the top. I'm going to do one in the bottom. Single crochet in the top, single crochet in the bottom. Now we're going to just join it here by doing a slip stitch into this first single crochet that we did. Do a slip stitch, fasten it off, cut your yarn. Finished with the size 6 hook. I'm going to be moving to the 4mm to do the, the straps or the handles. So go ahead and thread your embroidery hook. Come to the inside. You already have your knot, so you're good there. You're just going to want to weave these ends in. So I'm going to go in this direction. Pull it through, pull that tail a little bit. Okay, pull it through. Give it a little tug, but not too much. If you pull it too much, it's going to pull it up. You don't want to do that. You want to just let it be a natural looking. So come back through, different direction, start in a different place, and then 3's a charm for me. So come back through again. I'm going to start in a different place. Going back, weaving back and through the different direction. And give it a little bit of a tug, not too much. Cut that end. And this is the back of your bag. Because you can see when you join the round, see I was talking earlier about, you see it comes like an angle, just depending on your tension. And so this is where you joined it. So that we're going to make the back of our bag. So, but we're going to put this aside for a minute. And we are going to work on the handles. And like I said, we are going to use the, what did I do with the, there it is. I was looking right at it. The 4mm hook. I went ahead and did one handle. So you're going to do 2. So I'm going to put this one up there with the bag. And we're going to start with the primary color that we started with. So in my case, it's going to be the pink. And like I said, this is our 4mm hook. We're going to start these handles with a chain of 45. Now to get started with this, you're going to need to leave a long tail because you're going to have to sew these handles onto your bag. So leaving a long tail, start with a slip knot and chain 45. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45. So we have our chain of 45. Now, we are going to go into, this is also single crochets, but we're going to start with a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. This loop here does not count as anything. Like I said earlier, don't count it. You're going to skip the first loop, or the first chain. You're going to come into the second chain and you're going to do a single crochet. And then you're going to single crochet all the way down. I'm going to end up with, I think it's 44. It doesn't matter how many. You're not going to need to count anything for this. Well, you will. When you do your buttonhole, I take that back. When you do your buttonhole, you are going to need to count for it. So you're going to single crochet all the way down to the end of this chain. This really is, it's a very easy project, guys. It's not hard at all. It does not have any special stitches or anything complicated, anything like that. And it doesn't take very long. It might take you, a couple of hours or evening or maybe a half a day, just doing the main part of the bag. But it doesn't take long at all. And, like I said, I think they're great for walkers. That's why I made it, because I am in a senior apartment building. It's just regular apartments, like any apartment you have, but you have to be 62 to live here. So I have a lot of friends here, and some of them, not all of them, but some of them use walkers, like me, to get around. And this is just perfect to hang onto the front of your walker, to throw your phone in, to put, I know people that'll put a bottled water in them to get them from one location to another. It'll hold a magazine, so you can go to the mail room and get your mail, just whatever. But I think they're perfect for the front. But another thing that they would be great for is to use on a stroller. Attach it to your stroller, to drop your wallet in, your cell phone, whatever. You've got all your little pouches and sofa compartments for the baby goodies. This would be something that you could have to put your goodies in. So, I just think they're very practical and they're pretty. If you wanted to be creative, you could even embroider your name on the front of it. I'm not going to do that in this tutorial, but it'd be a cute idea. My question would be, would I embroider Sharon or would I embroider Nanny? Would be the question. Okay, we're coming up to the end here. We'll do our last single crochet. here on the end. And we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we're going to do 2 more rows of single crochets. So start here in this first stitch and do single crochet. Up this side, you're going to do 2 rows of the single crochet. I'm not sure about this blue fingernail polish, guys. I ordered some new colors, was playing around with some colors, and I thought, well, you know, well, actually today is the 4th of July, so I guess it's not the right color blue. I guess it's more of a summery blue, but that's a light blue. But I kind of like it. It's a little standoutish more than I thought it would be, but I like it. My mother-in-law always had her nails painted. You would have thought that she went to a nail salon. However, that was before the days of having nail salons. But she always had the most beautiful nails, well manicured, and she did them herself. And they looked so pretty. She did not veer from the color. She always used a bright red. It was a beautiful red, and it looked beautiful on her. She had an olive complexion, and it just looked beautiful on her. It was kind of her trademark, I think, in my eyes. If I'd have seen any different color nail polish on her, I would have wondered, what in the world? Because she never veered from that color. So my daughter loves to keep her nails done, and she's teaching her granddaughter, my great-granddaughter, to do nails. She's 3 years old, and she had her over not too long ago, several weeks ago, and let my great-granddaughter paint her nails for her. And she was so proud of herself. She painted Grandma's nails, and my daughter was so proud of them. She just went right on into work the next day with her nails just like they were. So she's already starting the tradition. I know that's why my daughter keeps her nails painted and keeps them nice. I know she learned that from her grandmother. So we're going to come down to the end of this row 1 of row 2. Come into this last stitch here. Make sure you're getting both of those going into the middle of that. Chain 1, turn your work. Let's do another row of our single crochet all the way down. These handles are easy too. They don't take long. You might think, oh my gosh, making a hole for the button. What in the world? How am I going to do that? Oh, it's so easy. We're going to get ready to do that right after this row here. Just so easy. The first tote I did in a lighter color, in the tan, and then the trim secondary color was like the navy blue. This is kind of the opposite effect. I'm doing the primary color in a darker color, this darker pink, and then the secondary color is white. So it's kind of a different, different effect. I would love to know what colors y'all are using. I know whatever they are, it's pretty. Or handsome, if it's for a dude. If it's for a guy. I just think it's a wonderful little idea. To use if you have a walker, or like I said, with a stroller. Anything to come. Let's get this yarn pulled out again. your yarn, I mean your project when you're doing a strap or something like that will kind of twirl up. It's okay. Just work through it. It is okay. All right. We're almost finished. Coming down here on this side. I think my next tutorial is going to be for a Suzette kitchen towel, hand towel. I did the Suzette washcloth, dish rag, and I want to make a mate for it. I think I'm going to do one for a Suzette hand towel. So be on the lookout for that. I'm loving the comments, guys. I really do appreciate your comments. I try to answer them. As soon as I get them, I try to. I'm retired. I live alone. I don't have a life. So I'm able to pop one to my comments right away and answer them. But I love getting them, guys. I really appreciate the comments. So let's come into our last stitch here. Do a single crochet, chain one, turn your work. Now this is where we're going to change it up a little bit. Pull me some yarn out. We are going to do 38. See, I told you this is where we do have to count. We're going to do 38 single crochets. So go into this first one, then we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, pull me some yarn, 34, 35, 36, 37, and 38. Okay, we've done 38. Now, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip 3. 1, 2, 3. Come to this fourth one, the next one, do a single crochet, and we're going to single crochet in these last 3. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, turn your work. That's going to be your buttonhole, guys. And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, look, I don't know what size buttons you got, but I got a big button. I selected a big button. I like big buttons, but it will fit because yarn is stretchy, so it will fit. So don't look at it and think, oh my gosh, my button's not going to fit, because it will. All right, so now we're going to come back through and down the next side and single crochet 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to single crochet 3 right inside this chain 3 space. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to come to the next single crochet, and you're just going to continue single crocheting all the way up this side here. Easy peasy, guys. It's an easy peasy, cute little pattern. And it's so practical. The one that my friend got when she was in rehab, that I got the idea from when I saw it, I thought that's just so cute. It's just such a great idea. But I like to, when I'm making my patterns, I like to do little different stuff. So, I, added some different colors, did the two-tone to it just to give it a little bit of a pizzazz. And doing the border on the top and the border around the straps, I just felt like it gives it a little bit of an extra oomph kind of thing. So we're single crocheting all the way down. This side again. And it doesn't use a whole lot of yarn. And you don't have to use an expensive yarn to do this. This is the Super Saver yarn. I think it's perfect for this project. I love Super Saver yarn. I don't like, and I'm not knocking it, I love it, but different yarns are good for different things. And to me, Super Saver is not the best yarn for like scarves or things like that, because it can be a little itchy, and I'm sensitive like that. All right, your last stitch here, chain 1, we're going to turn our work. Now we're going to do 2 more rows because we're going to want to end up back down here at the bottom to match up with this tail here. So go ahead and do single crochets again up this side. But Super Saver, I think, can be a durable yarn, a nice, good durable. It's 100% acrylic. I think it's 100% acrylic. Let's just check. I'm almost positive. We'll turn it the right way, Sharon. It's 100% acrylic. Yes, it is. Yep, 100% acrylic. Sorry. My cataracts are terrible, guys. People say, how in the world do you crochet? It just comes so easy to me. But my cataract surgery is coming up here sooner than later. It's going to give me some young eyes. It's going to be so wonderful when I'm able to see stuff without it being blurry. And I've got a double problem here. I've got the cataracts, which cause blurry vision, but I also have a neuromuscular autoimmune disease, and one of the things that affects is ocular, so I have double vision. So, yippee! But look, guys, I don't let it stop me. I just do not let it stop me from doing the things I enjoy doing, spending time with the family, and crocheting. I just love to crochet. There's some things I have had to give up, yes, because it does affect my muscles, so I don't have the muscle strength. I'll have to take breaks from crocheting actually, because I'll get, like cramps. My hands will get really, really tired. But I don't let it stop me. I'm not going to let it define me or stop me from doing the things I love to do. So battle through. If you have something that's, you know, keeping you from being at your best or what you used to be or whatever, however you want to say it, don't let it change who you are. I just cope with it. I just try to, you know, cope with it and keep right on going. And crocheting is one thing that keeps me busy and makes me happy. So see, this time, okay, you're going into the top. You did the last row, you did 3 single crochets inside the hole. Now you're going right into the top of these single crochets that you did. So come up here to your last few stitches. Chain 1, pull you some yarn, turn your work. This is your last row. So come on up the side here. It gives a good wide handle. I decided to give it a good wide handle. I think it looks better and it'll give it a little bit more strength maybe. Don't know that you need it. I don't think you're going to want to put anything heavy in there, but you know, I just think it looks better. It gives it a good little wide handle. So come on in single crochet all the way down at the end. It's still curling a little bit, but that's okay. You can block this if you want. And I won't. I'll just play with it and fiddle with it a little bit. But the way I used to block my work, if I wanted to keep it straight, was just to lay a towel down. Because see, it'll curl up. But I just used to lay a towel down, or, you know, several thicknesses of towels folded up several times, and just lay it down flat and then spray it with just water. Just lightly spray it with water and let it sit. And when it dried, it was flat. So that's an easy way to do it. Now when I'm blocking things, I've got a blocking mat and stick pins, push pins, and I'll lay the project out and pin them in. And then I have a steamer. I've gotten all fancy. I've got a handheld steamer that I'll steam it. And then I just walk away, let it sit, and it, you know, keeps it nice and in the ends straight. Some things that you do, you don't want it twisted and turning up. So you can block this if you want. I'm not going to block it. I'm just going to fiddle with it a little bit when I'm doing it, when I'm finished with it. But that's just a little bit of a not so pro tip, just a sharing tip on how couple of different ways that I have blocked things. All right, guys, we're coming up on the end of your primary color for your handle. This last stitch here, fasten it off. Remember to do a long tail. Cut that. We're finished with our primary color. Well, you're gonna use it for your second tail. Your second handle. And now we're going to jump right into doing the border. So I'm pulling, excuse me, I'm pulling the secondary color, which in my case is the white, out. And I'm going to start, you don't need a long tail for this because you're not going to be using this tail to sew it on. So start with a slip knot. And we're going to come down to where you started. And we're going to come into this first stitch. grab that slip knot, pull it through, chain 1, do a single crochet in this last first stitch, and now guys, you're going to do exactly like you did on the top of the bag. Did a single crochet in the top, so you're going to do a single crochet in the bottom. Then in the top, you're going over this tail. Now look guys, make sure you're not pulling your primary tail in. That you have to have that to sew it onto your tote. But you're going to crochet over your secondary color tail. So single crochet in the bottom of the stitch, and then in the top of the stitch, then in the bottom. And we're going to do this together because there's a little bit of a trick when you get to your corners. So just bear with me here. Instead of me pausing it and picking up at the end, I'm just going to work it together with you. Now we're going to stop here and give this a little bit of a tug and snip that tail. And then we're going to continue on. We did the bottom. Now we're doing the top. Now, let me point out with your stitch, this is where you did your chain. So that's, you know, you're going into that chain stitch there. You might not even be able to tell. So go into the bottom and then into the top, into the bottom, top, so we're going to do this all the way down. Like I said, we'll stay together while we do this. Top, bottom, top and bottom. Like I said, I'm doing this on the 4th of July. I don't know if I'm going to upload it today or tomorrow, but in any case, I'm sure you're not going to be watching it on the 4th of July. But this is the day I'm doing it, on the 4th of July. And I know my grandkids, my older grandkids, have things planned for the day to take their kids to, my grandkids to, festivities for the day. Just makes me reminisce when my kids were little and when my grandkids were little, and how we would have cookouts and do the fireworks and all that stuff. So now it's their turn to do it and build their memories. I think one of my sons and his family are at the beach, or at least he and his wife. Maybe a couple of the kids are at the beach because they're just beach people. They love being at the beach. I'm so lucky. We're so lucky where I live. I live, I don't know, probably 40 minutes from Virginia Beach. So we're, you know, I've been so blessed to live in this area of Virginia that it doesn't take us any time to get to the beach, and it just maybe took it for granted a little bit. Okay, so I did a top one there. Now, this is what I want to point out to you. We did one at the bottom here. We did one at the top. Now we're coming to the corner. I don't want to do the bottom in the corner. I want to do a single crochet in the top at the corners. So even though you did at the top here, go ahead and do at the top here, and you're going to do 2 single crochets in that corner. Turn your work. Now this is where you're going to be coming down the side, so it's not going to be as defined. But again, we're not going to come down here to the bottom. We're going to come on up to the top and do a single crochet in the top. Then drop down to the bottom. to do your bottom single crochet, then the top, then the bottom, then the top, and again, you're at the top, but you're at the end. So I want to come to the last one here and do 2 single crochets. Coming around your corner, and this, I'm sorry, this is the side that was the chain. Whoopsie. But you're not going to come down to the bottom. You're going to come to the top to do another single crochet after you've done 2 in the corner. Then you're going to drop down to the bottom. Then you're going to come to the top and then to the bottom. And you're going to do this all the way back up the side. So you could have started in a different spot. So you may have done your chain part in the beginning. I'm doing my chain part now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know what you're doing. Just this little border here, I guess that's what you call it. Little border. It might have a name. I don't know. It reminds me of tatting. Do you remember tatting? So come in the top. I started sewing when I was 11, 12. I've done all kinds of, I love doing crafts. I did all kinds of crafts, sewing, painting, embroidery, cross stitch. Oh my goodness, the cross stitch things that I did. Just crazy. I don't know how I could not crochet or do some kind of craft. Keep me busy. It's just in my DNA, I think. My mother was an excellent seamstress. My grandmother was an excellent crocheter. She gave me the inspiration to crochet like I do. I would go to her house maybe once a month and spend the weekend with her. She would crochet me with, using the thread, the crochet thread. She would crochet all these Barbie doll shawls and clothes and just tiny little things. My eyes won't let me do that anymore, but that's okay. So we're going to come on down to the end here. And finish up. Now, when you're coming down to the end, you are going to have to weave this one in, of course, because you're not going to be able to crochet over it. So you're going to weave this in. So you're just going to want to come down to the end. Oh, this works out perfect. So we're going to do the bottom. And we'll do the last one in the top here. Fasten off. You don't need a real long tail. You're just going to need it to weave it in. And you already did your knot, so it is secure. You are just going to weave it in and out, one direction, different place, different direction for the second pass. 3's a charm for me. Different place, different direction for this last pass. Now I am coming up through not just the white or the border that I did, but I'm also coming up through some of that pink, just to keep it a little tighter in there. So snip that. So there is your first handle. Now you're gonna want to pause your video here, and you're gonna wanna do your second handle. And then you come back here, we'll come back together, and we will attach our handle to our tote. So pause it here, finish your second handle, and come back together and we'll do the assembly part of our tote. All right, guys, let's attach those handles. So I'm gonna point out again, this is your back. You know, where you can see where you join the threads and where you got the uneven connection here. So you don't want this to be the front. It can be the back. Not gonna see it. So to put your handles on, we're gonna start by threading your embroidery needle. Now, we're going to attach the handles on the back side. So you're going to lay it down flat. Then you're going to take your two handles, and you can see, it might not be very easy to see on the video, but if you look at it, you can see that this is going to be what your back side was. This is your front side. It just is a little cleaner look. So you're going to want to lay the front side down. And we've already threaded the embroidery needle for this side. So again, we're going to look at the back side. We're going to look at the front side. We're going to lay the front side down. Now, this is where you're just going to guesstimate. I didn't count any stitches or anything for this. I just kind of guesstimated where I wanted the handles to be, and then come in even distance from each side on that, or pretty even distance. Let's get this one a little more this way, this one a little more this way, and this is where we're going to put this one. I'm going to go ahead and use a just a pin to go ahead and pin this one on, and then we're going to start on with this handle. So you're going to want to, you have it, your needle, embroidery needle threaded. So I'm going to turn it however it's going to be comfortable for you to work this in. I don't want to pull it all the way to the top here because I want to have more substance for it to sew on, so it'll be a little bit stronger. And you literally are just going to go back and forth with your needle from one side to the other. Gonna go back through that side. Let me get this tail out of the way. I'm gonna come in through the next stitch and then come through again. And then just sew it, or you can do it this way if you want. However is comfortable for you when you're sewing this on. I'm gonna come through here on the bottom and pull it a little further over because I want to make sure I'm getting this, the very edge in. I'm gonna come through again, whoopsie. We'll go back through. I just want to grab that corner good, so that's why I did it that way. And then I'm gonna come through for a second round. Again, get that tail out of your way and just come through again for a second pass. Excuse me. Tickle in my throat. And get that good and secure. Now, I want to also grab some up here. So what I'm going to do for this last pass is we're gonna come through the front side, but we're gonna come up higher in the stitch. So pull it through. Now, you're gonna go back and through again, but I want you to be careful, excuse me guys, when you're coming through that you're not going over top of your border. So you want it to be high, but come in the primary color part. So, and just come back and forth through. I want a little bit of stability and durability with the sewing process, because it is going to get, you know, it's going to get some wear and tear there. So come through again. Now I'm going to come one more time through, and I'm going to take the needle off, but I'm not going to do anything with this thread yet. I'm going to thread that second tail, and I'm going to do the same thing. Going to come back and forth through the bottom. I'm not going to do it as close together this time because I feel like I've already had the security in for the first pass around. And then we're going to come back through the other direction. There we go. Now we've come up together where we meet the other tail. We are going to tie them in a knot. 2, 3 times the charm. Let's stick with 3. Now let's weave in these ends. And just going to go back and forth. One direction, different spot, different direction for twice. Different spot, different direction for a third time. All right, we're done with that tail. Let's snip that one. Now just thread this other tail. Same thing. Weave in these ends. Different spot, different direction. Different spot, different direction. All right, snip that tail. Now let's come over here to the other one. We already have placed it and put a pin in there. You can use another embroidery needle or whatever to pin it. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and take this pin out. I don't need it now. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go back and forth. This front's in the way. Let me pull this around a little bit. I'm backtracking a little bit with it, as you can see, which is fine. Come here on the end like you did before, make that really secure to make sure I've got it even as it can be, wants to be, or you want it to be. Get that tail out of the way. Again, back and forth, one more time. And like you did on the other one, go ahead and lose that embroidery needle on that one. Thread up the other tail. And do the same thing. This time I'm going to come in a little higher. To catch the top part. I'm doing this one a little bit different than the other one. And you know what? That's fine, guys. As long as you're getting it good and secure, it's fine. I don't want to do it that far apart because it will show pretty much too much from the back side, I'm afraid. So come in like that. One more time. And tie your knot. One, whoops, not too tight, Sharon, not too tight. Don't pull it too tight. Two. You know, I say this, and I'll say it again, boo-boos are okay in crochet. So weave in your ends. One, different direction, different spot. Two, different direction, different spot. 4, 3. Pull your needle out. Cut that tail. Let's weave in your last tail. Weave it in. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Yes, we have that done. Now let's lay this good and flat. So pretty. Lay that good and flat. Now we're going to figure out the placement for your buttons. And I come down, I want the button to be like in the center here. So I'm going to pull it so that the hole is in the center there. So the bottom, the edge is kind of on the change of colors here. So you can look at it that way. Just line it up. Both sides, line it up. You have it all lined up. Now, this is a trick I'm going to show you. If you have pins close by all means, you can just use a pin. But this is your yarn is going to be right close to you. So this is a little trick I'm going to show you. Use a different color yarn so that you can see it easily, your secondary color. And you are going to go through this hole here in about the middle of it. And you're going to come through with your hook, and this is just for placement purposes. Then you're going to attach that yarn to it and pull it through. See that? That is your placement for your button. So let's do the same thing over here on this side. Come through the middle of your buttonhole. Grab up a piece of yarn from a stitch from the bottom side, from the front side there, pull it through, and there you go. Now make sure you're not pulling it through both layers. So you have now marked where you want your buttons to go. So grab your buttons. I have already thread my yarn. I did it off camera because, like I told you, my eyes aren't the best. So it takes me several attempts, and instead of y'all having to bear with me for that, I just went ahead and did it off camera. So what I'm gonna do, now let me show you a trick when you do thread your thread onto your sewing needle. I double the thread up. I learned this trick years and years and years ago in my sewing days. I don't know if it's kind of hard to see. It may be hard to see. But I folded the thread in half, and I thread both ends through the eye of the needle. Then that way, this end gives you a loop, so you don't have to tie a knot. Yeah, yay. So what I'm gonna do is come through the back side. We're gonna come through where we have that piece of yarn or whatever you used. Pull your yarn out. Go ahead and thread it through one of the holes on your button. And then I like going sideways, put it back through one of the holes on your button. You might have 4 holes, you might have 2 holes, whatever type button you had. And you're not going to go through that same spot there. You're going to go through a different spot. In this case, I'm going catty corner. Did I say that right? Because I'm doing an X. So you're going to come across and go through, come to the back here, pull it through a little bit. Then when you're getting toward the end, you're going to want to slip your needle through that loop that you have on the end of your thread and pull it. That is your knot. Of course, it's not going to be real secure yet. You have to do the sewing part of that to get it secure. So pull that tight. Then you're going to just want to go back and forth. And I want to make sure I'm not, okay. And then come up through the other. Now see, from the back side, you can't really see it well, but you want to make sure you're not going through the same hole and you're grabbing yarn up there from a different direction, a different spot rather. So come through here, see if we can get it in this other hole. Like I said, this is a 4-hole button. So, and I do mine, I like to do mine in an X. Don't ask me why. Maybe, there may be a reason for it. Maybe just because it's what I always did. I don't know. But that's what I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to do it a couple more times because I want my button to be good and firm. Even though it is 2 strands of thread, I still want it to be good and, ow, I just stabbed myself. I want it to be good and firm there. So, okay, I'm done. I'm going to come back through. I only did 2 loops on this first pass when I was sewing those. So we're going to go a couple more times on that. There we go. Okay, now come to your back side and secure this off. And it's basically kind of like you're doing with your crocheting. I pull it up on a piece of yarn and kind of pull it through, not all the way. Then I'm going to come through like I do when I'm weaving off ends or tying off ends, and that makes a knot. And I'm going to do that several times because I want a good knot there. 1, 2. Well, isn't 3 the charm for Sharon? So let's do 3. 3. Oops, missed it. Pull it too far. That's okay. Just going to do it again. 3, and voila. Cut your string. First button done. All right, now we are going to do the second button. Well, I'm going to have to thread it on camera, aren't I? Didn't think ahead on this. Go ahead and get you a good length of string. Match it up. Match these 2 ends up. Bear with me, guys. Like I said, my eyes are not young anymore. So match them up and get your ends together. And hopefully we can get this on one of the first tries. Let's see. Nope. Bear with me. Did I get it? Nope. Bear with me, guys. I'm so sorry. You gotta laugh, though. Look, y'all are gonna have your other button sewn on by the time I get this needle threaded, aren't you? Oh, this is, do I need my magnifying glass just to thread the needle? Did I get it? Did I get it, guys? No. Only got one. You know what? I'm going to pause it and come back. Hang on. Okay, what you know, Murphy's Law. As soon as I paused the camera, I did it on the first try. So there we go. Got it threaded up. Now, do like we did before. Come through the back where the yarn marker is, or however you marked it. Pull that out. Go through one of the holes. In my case, I have 4. Go back through another one. Come back through in an X shape for me because of the position of my buttonholes. Come through, not all of the way. Make sure I catch this loop. No, don't come out. No, 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 don't come out. Don't you do it. Okay. It's okay. You can talk to your yarn and your thread. It's fine. Look, I have an automatic robot vacuum cleaner. An inexpensive one. It just helps me keep things halfway tidy. Her name is Matilda. And I talk to her. I fuss at her. Because she's a bully sometimes. She just runs into stuff and moves stuff around. She used to chase River around. He had a love-hate relationship for Matilda. I had her running this morning. And she got herself pushed this little basket I had around until she could get herself up under the table, end table, and get herself tied up in an extension cord. I guess she wanted a break because when she gets hung up on something, she beeps 3 or 4 times, and then I have to go rescue her and start her again. So I guess that's what it was, but I talked to Matilda. So it's okay to talk to your thread, to talk to your yarn. It's okay. So we've gotten this one good and secure. Come to the back. These buttons, by the way, in both of these projects that I did, I have a stash that I got from my mother, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. Oh, come on now, Sharon. It's hard to get it to come through because that button is there. There we go. Let's get this. Okay. Do our knot. My mother, I told you she was a wonderful seamstress, and she had a gazillion buttons, and I'm almost not exaggerating, that were hers from all of her years. She was 94 when she passed away, so she had many years of being a seamstress. She had buttons that were my grandmother's. She had buttons that were, I don't know, different family members or whatever. And she had them in all these little plastic shoe boxes. Tie that off. So these buttons in both these sets are from my stash of what I call my antique button stash. So, and I love them. So, okay, we have finished. We've gotten both of our buttons attached. And see, I told you, just chaining 3 looks like a small buttonhole for that big old button, but look at this. Whoop. You would rather it be a tight fit than a loose fit because you definitely don't want that button come out. But look at how cute that is. I love the border around it. I really like using the two-tone colors on these. These colors came out so nice. And like I said, this one I did the primary color, a lighter color, and then the dark with the tan and the dark blue. And these also were buttons from my antique stash that I have. And then this is the darker color with the pink and the white. And I just love it. I just love the way these came out. I loved doing this tutorial with you guys. I loved working up this pattern, designing this pattern and making it and being able to share it with y'all. So I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, guys. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm not even up to 30 tutorials yet, so I'm really still kind of brand new at this. So I would love to get your subscription, your love, likes, notifications, and please leave the comments. Like I said, I do love reading your comments and responding to them, and y'all are so kind. You guys are just, you know, people in our crochet world, our world of crocheting, they're just good peoples, just really good peoples. And I love that it's hitting an audience of not only an older generation, but the younger generation is actually getting into crocheting. I know my two youngest grandsons at the high school they went to, they had a crocheting club for the students. So I really love our world of crochet, and you guys are wonderful with your comments. So please keep that coming. Share my channel with your friends, please. And like I said, subscribe to my channel. And I've really enjoyed doing this tutorial with you guys. Make yourself a walker/stroller tote. And let me know how it goes for you. So thank you again, guys, for joining me along with this. And as always, happy crocheting.